Good morning, Patriots. How you doing today? This is Mike the Patriot coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of Lamont, Missouri. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are. I totally forgot to put this on Facebook. So much don't care until somebody was commenting that video get me kicked off Facebook. So now I'm on Facebook. I was adding it as that was ending there. Yes. Anyways, hey Tina, I don't know what you're sharing there, but you can't share links. Can't share links. Don't share links. That's a standard rule to keep the trolls out. So don't do that, please. All right, let's get on with the show. So this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it, because God is good all the time, and all the time he is good. It's been a rough couple of days, but so today is going to be, all the conversation about Charlie Kirk and his assassination and all the stuff that goes with it. I just didn't feel like doing that show yesterday, so I did some other stuff. If you want to go see that show, I think it's a pretty good show yesterday. It's doing pretty well. Yeah, so I didn't talk about a bunch of that stuff. So the word of the day brought to us by Marina in the Woods, as given by the Lord, is Luke 22:34 through 38. That's Luke 22:34 through 38. Make sure you crack up. Let me put that back up there again in case you got to see it real quick. Take a screenshot or whatever. I didn't crack open the Bible, see what God has for you today. Do that, please. And but this is Friday, by the way, and I'll say this at the end like I always do, but especially this weekend, turn your phone off. There is so much dis, and malinformation. There's so much BS, so we're going to cover some of it. The ring thing, it's totally debunked. The ring didn't switch hands. It's a clasp ring, not a clasp. It opens, and there's video after video. It's kind of like those fidget spinner things. It's something he always kind of tinkered with. So when he was shot, the theory goes that it opened up and was falling off his hand. And that's why it switched rings. Some of this stuff people are saying are just, there's another guy posting that everything is 3-3. He's a Mason. The Jews did it. That's another one. The Jews did it. That's another one. The usual suspects, the Candace Owens and the Ein, whatever his name is, and the rest of them are saying it's the Jews that killed Charlie Kirk. Well, there's an airplane that took off. That's been totally debunked. Totally debunked. The guy that owns the plane came out and spoke about it. He's was actually a really good friend of Charlie Kirk. And we have breaking news, breaking news, Donald Trump on Fox this morning. They've captured the bad guy.
In Arizona. And you said you were going to award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is very nice of you. Any updates on the suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued and we all don't get sued and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. Getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. It's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But I think we're in great shape.
Mr. President,
he's in custody.
Your suspicion was that he was radical left, and now you have more information. What can you share with us about his ideology?
Yeah, Lawrence, let me and by the way, Lawrence is doing a good job. What's going on?
Job. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
I said you were going to do well. I think that I don't want to go too far. I'd like to tell you some stories that how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned and, they said, whoa, it's interesting. We had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister. And brought him to a U.S. Marshal who was fantastic. And the father convinced the son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but I'm just giving you, based on what I'm hearing, they'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you? Huh?
Thank you.
Always have breaking news, Ainsley. Sean's going to be very disappointed that we're not doing it on his show.
He'll be very thankful and appreciative of the police officers that got this guy.
They did a great job. Everybody worked together. Pam Bondi is incredible, by the way.
Yeah. So they got him. And we'll see where this goes. There's some other stuff out there, so I don't know all yet. We'll get to it. We'll get to some of the other stuff. Shirley says, I saw more than just the ring, but the white hat and black hat guys in the background giving hand signals. You can't debunk that. You want to bet? You want to bet? Those are his security. Those two people are his security. They're with him at every event, standing right there. They're standing in a posture that a security person does, by the way, with their hands in front of them, clasped like this or like this in front of them. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Because it is a non-threatening pose, but it gets to their weapon quickly. That's why they do that. And them giving signals and stuff, I believe they were to the rest of their team, because there was more than just them out there. However, Charlie Kirk's protection was not at the level of Secret Service. Do you understand that kind of protection is extremely expensive? Charlie Kirk was doing well, but not that well. So yeah, I could debunk that too, just with some common sense and understanding. Just because the guy was giving signals doesn't mean it's nefarious. Everybody's trying to find the conspiracy theory in this. It may very well likely be that this is just another radicalized left-wing nut job. It may very well likely be that there's more to the story. I don't know yet. Neither do you. Neither does any of these other internet clickbaiters, master clickbaiters out there trying to get, and again, by me not going down the conspiracy, it cost me money. It cost me views, and views are money. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. I'm tired of it. And the rhetoric that's out there right now is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Here is CBS yesterday as I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to talk about, and I want you to pay attention. Well, actually, no, I want you to turn everything off this weekend. But Monday, I want you to pay attention to what they're doing. It is a trick that they do all the time. Listen to the words people are saying. I say this all the time. It's very important to listen to the words they're saying. and understand what they are saying. And the meaning behind it is not an accident. Listen.
And as Tony mentioned, not everyone took to his words or his rhetoric. You know, at times they were offensive to specific communities. But with that said, this is not the time to focus on that. We are focused on this tragedy. Speaking of this tragedy, is this a moment for your party to reflect on political violence? Is it a moment for us to think about the responsibility of our political leaders and their voices and what it does to the masses as they get lost in misinformation or disinformation that turns in and spills into political violence?
I say both parties. You know,
I don't even say parties. I say a nation.
Okay.
And if there's a moment
Even
in time
better.
we want to look to, and I looked back and I watched this again when Robert F. Kennedy is running. And he's in Indianapolis, and he just got the news that Martin Luther King was killed. And he has to tell the crowd because we don't have social media at that time. And it was remarkable the words he said. He said, we have to ask as a nation, who are we? And how do we want to move forward? We have watched this political attack on both sides. We watched what happened in Minnesota. We watched what happened to President Trump. We've watched this on both sides. This is not a question about parties. This is a question about nations. We cannot normalize this, but Charlie was not elected. Charlie was not doing something where you would sit there and one party say something wrong. He was honoring. He was doing it on a college where ideas. This is what happened in the 60s. This is a moment in time for this nation to take this time to actually make a question about all of us.
We don't want to go back to the 60s.
We don't.
That was a more violent period than people recall. We could talk about the 60s.
So what's going on there? I don't know if you noticed, but they're equivocating, including the former Republican Speaker of the House. This is a focused, prepared, orchestrated talking point. It's happening on both sides. It's happening on both sides. Both sides have to come together. Both sides. You see, because you got what happened in Minnesota where the senator was killed, and you got what happened with the elite, the insurance guy. We've got to come together and stop all this political bias on both sides. No. Paul Pelosi's attacker was a leftist Antifa, transvestite, queer nut job whose best friend was a giant talking fairy bird. So he was a lefty nut job. The guy that killed the insurance executive was an Antifa lefty nut job. The guy that went on the murder rampage or tried to go on the murder rampage in Minnesota and kill the senator was a Tim Walz lefty nut job. He's a conservative Republican. He was not. He was an Antifa activist, lefty communist. All of these high school shootings are all a bunch of lefty Antifa transvestite communists. They all have the guy that killed Abraham Lincoln was a communist. I didn't call him communist back then, but he was that's what he believed in. The kid that took the shot at Butler was a lefty, crazy, nut job, Antifa, probably transvestite communist. The guy that's on trial right now for trying to kill Donald Trump down at the golf course is an absolute fruitcake nut job and a lefty, Antifa, Marxist communist. So don't let them tell you, the people on the right have to. Name one Christian right-wing extremist like Charlie Kirk that has shot anybody. Name one. I'll wait. I challenge anybody to hear my voice. You come up with one. I'll put you on my show. I'll take away all my other rules about you coming on my show. You got to have a fan base of 500 people and do a daily show, or at least a weekly show. I'll take that down. There's my contact information. Come up with one in the last 100 years of a conservative Christian. Don't go out and get me some sort of, he's right wing and he's a freaking real Nazi, because Nazis are not right wing, they're left wing. Nazi stands for National Socialist. Socialism's on the left. They're lying to you. Words mean things. Words mean things. And Shirley was in the comment section a little bit ago asking me, can I disprove the book that came out on the 9th? Did you go to Amazon and try to find that book? Because it isn't there, because it's fake. There are some books there that did come out the day of. How'd they do that? How'd they publish it? Because here's what you do. Gronk, write me a book real quick, 127 pages long on the murder of Charlie Kirk. Thank you. Now, go over here, publish. Boom, published on it. It takes 72 hours, they say. Not if you do it all the time. Not if you're already an accredited account. There are people that write 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 AI books a day and publish them, and people buy them and they make $1 or $2. But if you make $1 or $2, 100 or 200 or 300 times a day, they're all AI. Chat GTP, yeah, same thing. They're all AI. It's crap. It's total 100% clickbait crap. And I guarantee you that 127 pages or 150 pages or however many pages it is total whitewash gobbledygook, doesn't say anything. So, but that one that's been going around that was supposedly written on the 9th, go look it up. Go see if it's there. Stop believing the crap they tell you on the internet. Stop believing what the Patriot mythology pushers are pushing and their conspiracy theories, because they're exactly the same as the authors, so-called, writing the AI books. They're just there to separate you from your money. That's it. Well, I ain't giving them any money. Yeah, you are with these. These are the most valuable things you give away right here. That and this. Yeah, boy, working for a living, I'm doing it wrong. Exactly. It's a scam. It shouldn't be allowed. But then again, we have free speech in this country. And you know what the thing is about free speech is you're allowed to say it and you're allowed to listen to it if you want to. What I'm saying is stop. Stop. Because it's terrible. Whenever you see any of this stuff, and I've seen it all, take a deep breath and say, well, how can that really, really, really be true? And the thing is, I mean, like, for example, have you went and looked for those books on Amazon? Or did you just? Yes, moms, I just said there's books. But the one particular book that was written on the 9th, have you seen that one? I just said how they're making the books. Oh, you're saying all the books were gone. That's probably because Amazon took them down after. But they do this. It's not just Charlie Kirk. They do this all kinds of books. All kinds of books. You want some schmut books? You can get some AI written schmut books. You want some politics books? You get all those books. If you want, I mean, there's AI created any type of book you want, and they're created instantly with no effort. Writing a book is an art form. There's no art form in this. It's just trying to get you money. And if they can make a few $100, that's all they care about. Well, I thank you for that, Tino. It says when something like this horrific happens, most of us emotionally lose it. Then we have ones like Mike that can still think logically. And so we come here. I appreciate that. But let me tell you something. Part of the reason why I did the show yesterday the way that I did it, and I didn't really address any of this stuff, even though a lot of this stuff was on my mind, is because I was emotionally, and I couldn't separate myself. So I'm there with you. And you guys are saying it's all been removed. I bet you give it a day or two, there'll be a bunch of other ones back up.
And brilliant judge.
So yeah, it's a mess. And I don't mean to be going off, and I apologize to anybody in the chat if you think I'm attacking you. I'm not. I'm just using your comments to try to make my point that a lot of the stuff we're hearing is entirely BS. Entirely BS. And there's a lot of stuff on my Telegram page. Here's another one. I'm talking about how the Democrat talking points, the mainstream media talking points, are designed to equivocate the hatred, the violence, the evil is coming from one side, and then one side of one side. So what does that mean? It's coming from the left, and it's coming from the rhinos. Anybody heard from Thomas Massey lately? We might get to that. But I'm serious. Find me somebody who is a Christian conservative. I want you to name one Christian real Christian, not one that you labeled that, with evidence. Well, he's a Christian. He went to the Philadelphia Church of the Queer. That's not a conservative. And I doubt it's a Christian. Find me one who has committed any of these atrocities. No, they're all either deranged lunatics or deranged lefties or both. Find me one. Here's Chucky Schumer and a King Jeffries.
Can we get your reaction to President Trump blaming the radical left for what happened to Charlotte yesterday?
Well, look, the bottom line is this is a time that all Americans should come together.
They don't control the media anymore.
And mourn what happened. Violence, which affects so many different people of so many different political persuasions, is an affliction of America. And coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame.
This moment requires leadership that brings the American people together as opposed to trying to further divide us. Political violence in any form against any American is unacceptable, should be denounced by everyone. And moving forward, we have to figure out a better way to come together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans.
And by coming together, they mean ban guns. By coming together, they mean Republicans join them. Again, this is not left and right. This is left and left and left. This is left and nut jobs created by the left. That's what this is. I'm struggling with, if you speak against Charlie Kirk, they should be fired. Well, I agree they're wrong, but I kind of agree with you too. People should have the right. However, I got school teacher after school teacher on my Telegram page. School teachers, elementary, high school teachers. If you're in college, okay. School teachers, your students are a captive audience mandated by the government. So these government employees spewing their hatred, that's kind of the gray area for me. That's where I'm, because let me tell you something. One of the greatest teachers I had, I can't even think of his name now. It's been a long time. My civics and economics teacher, my senior year in high school, with a flaming lib. I didn't know it. He taught us civics and economics. He taught it from the book. He taught us the Constitution. He said, this is what's written. This is what's meant by that. I had no idea the guy was a lib until way later on. I think after his passing, some stuff was in the paper about him and the people and stuff he supported, the causes he supported. He never let on. He gave a neutral understanding of what our civics and economics should be. Never let on, never knew. That's the way it should be. If you're expressing, and the problem is too, we didn't have social media back then. You know, there was barely a computer. I mean, we were still playing Oregon Trail back then, if you know what I mean. So it's a different world, but never knew his politics. And that's the way it should be. And if you're in a position like that, you shouldn't be talking politics. You should not be talking politics. Here's another one. This is what I'm saying. They're trying to equivocate their actions, who they are, and say everybody's doing it. It's not so.
What I do know for sure is that, you know, Charlie was someone who once said, you know, guns save lives after a school shooting. Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth should never exist. And I think, you know, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
Complete rewriting of history.
Yeah, there is nothing more effed up, you know, like than to completely pretend that, you know, his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade or so. And
she laughs about Charlie Kirk. She equivocates. He says Juneteenth should not exist, and that's not what he says. I've talked about Juneteenth. I had no idea what Juneteenth was, so I started going to a predominantly Black church when I was in the Army, and they celebrated Juneteenth. I'm like, what is Juneteenth? And they're like, it's the day down in Texas when the last slaves were freed, and nobody really knows what day that was. So we celebrate Juneteenth because it's sometime around in the teenths of the June. Only the Marxist, socialist, progressive, leftist, like Ilhan Omar, have taken over that day and turned it into something it shouldn't be. We, as Republicans, because we are the ones that set them free, it was the Democrats who fought a civil war to keep the slaves. We, as Republicans, should embrace Juneteenth, and we should celebrate it for what it was. By the way, I'm in favor of reparations for the families of the people who died fighting a civil war to liberate the slaves. I'm in favor of reparations for that. They should get paid for that. And I will probably upset people, and I don't care. But here we are trying to say that Charlie Kirk is bad because of the things he says that we don't agree with. We shouldn't have killed him, but, you know, everybody's killing everybody nowadays, so we're all the same. And this is not the case. These people, with their rhetoric and their thought process, they are doing this, and it's intentional. And it's intentional. It's on purpose. Anthony Poe, speaking of people getting fired, is a Secret Service agent, active Secret Service agent. If you are mourning this guy, delete me. He spewed hate and racism on his show, especially when we should be mourning the innocent children in Colorado. At the end, there was a shooting the other day in Colorado too, if you didn't know. At the end of the day, you answer to God. He did. God said, well done, good and faithful servant. I'm pretty sure of that. And speak things into existence. You can only circumvent karma. She doesn't leave. Okay. Anthony, let me point something out to you. If you're watching my show, I'm sure you're not. But you can't talk about God and karma. You see, this is God, all capitals. This is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's the one that says, there are no other gods. If there were, I would know them. Now, karma is one of the millions of Hindu gods. You can't proclaim karma and God. You know what God says about that, right? If you're lukewarm, he'll spew you out of his mouth. I highly recommend Anthony Pogue. What a name. I highly recommend that you repent and fall on your knees before the one true God, before the false gods send you where they want you to go. Anyways, he's doing that. Babylon B says this. They posted this about Charlie Kirk. I got to change my glasses here real quick, and they are a little smudged. Charlie Kirk, a faithful follower and witness of Jesus Christ, has been welcomed home to enter into the joy of his Lord. Heavenly sources confirm that after 31 years of graciously allowing everyone on earth to benefit from his life, God deemed the world unworthy of Charlie Kirk and brought him to his eternal glory where he belongs. A gifted and articulate apologist for Christianity and American values, Kirk was on record as stating that despite building a massive following and in influential global events, it's all about Jesus. Reports from Satan's kingdom, conversely, indicated that there was joy and celebration that such a formidable warrior has been taken out of the fight. At publishing time, Charlie Kirk, good and faithful servant, had arrived into the open arms of his Savior. Babylon B, a satire site. These people, I'm telling you, are nothing but evil. Nothing but evil. Here is, so J.D. Vance flew out there with Air Force Two and helped bring Charlie home. This is the flight arriving into Phoenix.
South 1555 Phoenix Center, wind 2409, runway 26, good line. Clear line 26, Southwest 1565.
Welcome home, Charlie. You didn't deserve it. May God bless your family.
Donald Trump says he'll be at the funeral. He says he will award him the congressional, or not congressional medal, what do they call it? The medal for civilians, whatever it's called. He says, but at a later date and a later time to be determined. You see, the problem is that we have in this country right now is not that Republicans are extremists. It's that the left are extremists, radicalists, Marxists who are determined to destroy this country from the inside out, probably associating with the rest of them, the rest of the Marxists on the planet. 2008, the right conservatives, and then a lot of people, I was over here in 2008, but a lot of people are here. It says, my fellow liberal. 2012, the fellow liberals started running from the center. And as they ran to the left, the center started to move. See that? Then in 2021, the woke progressive, no longer fellow liberal, says bigot to the person who never moved on their positions, never changed. And the conservatives were all laughing. See, we told you. And here we are today, woke progressive bigot taking shots. When Khrushchev said that he would destroy America from the inside without ever firing a shot, this is what he was talking about. This is what he was talking about. Okay, here's the post. It's gonna be hard for me to read because it's small. On all of the Patriot mythology pushers, notice I never talked about it. I never posted about it. The only post that I made about the airplane and its transponder being shut off anywhere, shut off, not shut off, shut off, is this one here from the owner of the airplane. Stop reacting. When you hear something, just wait. Just wait. The truth will come out. It says, Shalene and I join our community, our state, and our nation in mourning the death of Charlie Kirk, and we pray for his family and loved ones during this difficult and tragic time. His death and the way it occurred was both horrifying and senseless. We pray that the extensive efforts by law enforcement to locate Mr. Kirk's killer, which, by the way, they have now, will be swift and successful. As often happens, unfortunately, in the wake of such terrifying and public events, a variety of baseless theories and suspicions around Mr. Kirk's murder inevitably took hold on social media, including one that was unfairly implicated our family. To set the record straight and provide the following facts. Yesterday at approximately 1:20 p.m. Mountain Time, a private aircraft owned by one of our corporation with tail number N888KG departed from Provo Airport for Page, Arizona, pursuant a pre-scheduled flight plan. Occupants of the takeoff included 2 pilots and no passengers. N888KG arrived at the Page, Arizona, PGA at approximately 1:55 p.m. Mountain Time, 12:55 p.m. local time. Upon arrival, Derek Maxfield, boarded N888KG along with 7 additional passengers for a return trip to PVU. N888KG departed PGA at approximately 1:40 p.m. local time, 2:40 p.m. Mountain Time, and arrived at Provo at approximately 3:15 p.m. Mountain Time. Radar services with air traffic control were terminated in mutual agreement between Denver FFA Center and N88GK approximately 10 miles from landing at PGA, which is consistent with generally accepted standard practices when flying in and out of non-towered airports like PGA. N888KG pilots follow all FAA requirements and protocols, tower directions, and predetermined flight plan. This round trip was made at my request and solely for my purposes. Any suggestion that the flight by N88KG yesterday are in any way connected to the tragic shooting of Mr. Kirk is inaccurate, false, and without credible basis of any kind. To our knowledge, No one associated with yesterday's flights by N888KG has been contacted by law enforcement for any reason. We ask that the focus remain on praying for and supporting those that have been directly impacted by yesterday's events, and on the critical efforts of law enforcement to bring Mr. Kirk's murderer to justice. So another conspiracy theory, Patriot mythology, BS, Barbra Streisand bites the dust. Watching monkey works, that plane landed in Provo, Utah about 6:30. I probably did. I mean, they probably fly all over the place. When you're rich and can afford planes, it's what you do. So what? A small plane with a transponder probably landed at Skinwalker Ranch. Talk about another BS program. Barbra Streisand. Completely fake. Well, how do you know it's fake? Because it's Hollywood. Everything in Hollywood is fake. Everything. This is somebody who is friends with Dan Bongino. She says, Bongino Army. Normally, I'd never share a private conversation with Dan, but I don't think he'll mind this time. She says, I can't stop crying. Everyone misses you. I know you won't rest until his assassin is found. And Dan says, justice is coming, I promise you. I think that they're announcing it this morning, but they had him yesterday. That's what I think. I think they had him for a little while. Yesterday, Donald Trump went to the Yankees game. The Yankees had a memorial for Kirk and for 9/11. Here's the Detroit team dancing to YMCA. Just we're all humans and having a little fun. So here's the guy. This is the guy they thought was the guy. This is the guy they just captured. This person is, again, I don't know if it's true, is saying that this person who has, and I've seen this video, he has debated Charlie Kirk several times, and there is some similarity. I don't know if it's him. I don't know. But this is this guy's social media page showing this. This guy's social media page has high school photo of Sky. Now, this is not the same person as they're saying they caught. So I don't know. But I'm just putting that out there. I don't know if this same guy. I don't know. But that's a speculation out there. They're saying the name was Robinson. So
he was reportedly.
And again, how they do this, how they just say, oh, no. Everybody's killing everybody. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Now, if we just ban guns, of course, if we banned all guns, that Ukrainian gal would still been murdered on the train. Here is Pierce Morgan as they discuss it, and the leftist liberal black guys like, oh, there's no proof of that. There's no proof of that. There's no proof. Just like what was it? Donald Trump was on 2020 and he said the election was rigged. The 2020 election was rigged. And there's no proof of that. Leslie Stahl, I think. There's no proof. There's no proof. You can't bring it up. There's no proof. Just because you claim there's no proof doesn't mean that there isn't proof. Now watch this. Watch this as this gets shut down.
He was reportedly heard saying, I got that white girl after killing her, which, if it was the other way around, that was a beautiful young black girl who had been murdered by a white man who'd said, I got that black girl, I think all hell would have broken loose in the mainstream media. And I say that as someone who's been in the mainstream media for a long time, right? So
it's on video.
It's literally on video.
We have
Mark.
no evidence. I mean, I'm astonished, truly, Piers, hearing what I'm hearing today, that it's just not a sexy story. We only cover things that people care about, as if you shouldn't care about the death of a beautiful, innocent 23-year-old girl who fled a literal war zone to come to the United States and live a peaceful, prosperous life, coming home from her work shift to be brutally murdered, presumably simply because of her skin color and what she looks like. And we can say we have no evidence or we don't know what the real motive was in this situation all day long. But the truth is, in an 8-minute video that has now been viewed billions of times on social media, I hope at this point, we hear twice, not once, but twice, "I got that white girl," coming out of the mouth of the man who decided to commit this heinous crime. This is something that should be a firestorm for our culture, but it's incredibly telling to me that within moments after George Floyd's death, you saw the Catholic University of America instantly put up a mural of the Virgin Mary cradling George Floyd. You saw an Instagram trend that took over every single leading company, brand, influencer, celebrity's account, spurring millions of people to post a black square. And you saw our society change overnight with the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. But now you can see literal days go by with CNN having 42,000+ stories of George Floyd on their website and 0 search results for Irina Zarutska within several days after an attack like this happens. And the Wall Street Journal wait to weigh in on this until days later on page 5 of the newspaper, in which their only headline was "Women's Stabbing Death Becomes MAGA Talking Point."
Right.
This is the clearest window into how much the media is doing everything they can to pit people against each other. And I, for one, am kind of grateful for how disgustingly they're treating this, because it's a wake-up call for humanity to realize we don't have to live this way. We don't have to expect that this is normal on a train ride home from work in Charlotte, North Carolina, for a beautiful young girl trying to provide for herself and create a better future. And the expectation that this should be a normal response to this outrage is disgusting to me.
But that's what they're trying to do. You know, it just happens. It happens. It happens. And the right-wing nut jobs are just as much. Trumpet for Life says, OMG, I see comments where people are still blaming Trump supporter for killing the Minnesota couple. Yeah, the senator in Minnesota. That was a Tim Walz guy. He worked for Tim Walz. He was a Republican, but he was also Antifa. And he was an absolute complete nut job. And that's what I'm saying. All of these murders are either by complete nut jobs or complete leftists or both. Show me a Christian conservative let's see. You're on Facebook and it's buffering a lot. Come over and watch it on Rumble. Watch it on Rumble, because it's doing fine on Rumble. So it may be your internet. I'm just saying. Just saying. I'm skipping over some stuff that I had posted because it's no longer relevant because they caught the guy. So that's kind of going through this. So Pete Hegseth or Sean Purnell, who's a deputy something or another over there in the Pentagon, it is unacceptable for military personnel and Department of War civilians to celebrate or mock the assassination of a fellow American. And Pete says, we are tracking all these very closely and will address immediately, completely unacceptable. And then Pepe Deluxe says, thank you, sir. And that's who I shared this from. Just moved to PCB, Florida. I don't know what PCB, Florida is. Pacific Coast. Is that what you're saying? Something? Last summer. And my neighbors are 60 and 61 in their Swifties. Lord. I haven't listened to top 40 music since 1993. Actually, 1992 or 91. When did I get back from the golf? I don't remember. It's been that long. It's been that long. This is the kind of crap we're getting from the left. This right here is the kind of it. If this doesn't get your blood boiling, nothing will. Elon Musk needs to take this down. It's over on X. They're selling Debate This t-shirts. Just think about this for a second. Charlie Kirk was about the open arena of ideas, debate. The problem was he was effective. The left is about shut it down. I mean, it was the left who came out during the Rona, and anybody that had a different opinion than the government, you got to think about it. The left, the hippies of the 60s, you know, that would sit here and tell us how bad the man is. We got to stick it to the man, has become the man, and now that they're man, they want to stick it to everybody else. And the good news is that most of those lefties from the 60s, we just saw Chucky Schumer a minute ago, they're going to be out of office soon one way or another. And I don't mean this kind of crap. I mean, they're 80-something years old. Life is only I mean, the Bible says 70. After that, everything's a blessing. So they're living in the blessing. They should just go all retire, move down to the villages where Joe Biden says they're the most friendliest hometown. Sure, Joe. Sure, Joe. Whatever you say. Here is, well, I'm going to skip that on down. What time is it? Okay. Here's Stephen A. Smith and his response to this, talking about the Democrats who are celebrating the demise of Charlie Kirk.
But I also know there's far more good people than there are bad people in this country, regardless of who you are, what your ethnic background is. White, black, Hispanic, and beyond. I'm in a studio here in Las Vegas, and I'm looking outside, and I see people looking at me and smiling and saying, "What's up, Stephen?" They don't look anything like me. And I don't care, because they're showing me love, and I'm showing love right back to them. At some point in time, we got to recognize, can't just speak about it. Can't just give lip service to when such a vile act takes place. And we're going to give lip service to the tragedy of the moment. And then within 24 hours, we move on with our lives like nothing happened. Something did happen. I don't care what his political beliefs were. I don't care what he felt. I care about the fact that a man was gunned down in front of two of his children who are 5 years of age or less. That he's dead at the age of 31. That his wife is a widow, that his children are fatherless because his ideas and his beliefs differed from somebody else, apparently. And then I'm going online and I'm seeing people celebrating it. Shame. Shame on you.
I agree. And the comment earlier from the Babylon Bee that hell is celebrating. Hell is celebrating. You're showing us your demons. Man, somebody says, Malcolm says, "Hello, America from England. How you doing? You guys are having a rough time over there." We're all in this together, for sure, all over. Very first time agreeing with Stephen A. Smith. I've agreed with him a lot here lately. Stephen A. Smith, we disagree. I disagree with Stephen A. Smith on politics. I do not disagree with Stephen A. Smith on being a good human. We can disagree on politics and still be a good human. And that's where it is. Breaking news. This is also happening yesterday, and I do want to talk about this a little bit. It says, massive win. U.S. Appeal Court listen to the words we use, gave President Trump the green light to defund Planned Parenthood. So that means, what is it? Donald Trump, the executive, all power of the executive is placed within the President of the United States of America. The Constitution says that. The Constitution says that. The Supreme Court has not given Donald Trump anything. The Supreme Court has affirmed that the Constitution says all power of the executive is placed with the president. That means that the money that's being spent is under the authority of the president. And they can totally undo it. You can totally undo it. By the way, why in the HE-double hockey sticks are we funding, American taxpayers funding a private corporation? They're a nonprofit. They're a nonprofit corporation that is very much a for-profit. I'll tell you why we're funding it, because it's a money laundering operation. That's why. The government needs, look, if they want to go kill babies for profits in states where that's allowed, they're horrible, stinking, miserable people and deserve the hellfire that's coming from them if they don't repent between now and then. But we shouldn't be paying for it. You should pay for that yourself. If you want to kill your baby and it's legal where you're at, you should pay for that yourself. Yeah, see, Malcolm says there's a massive protest in London tomorrow. People have had enough. Yeah, all over the place. Ireland, Scotland, all over the place. You guys are had, and it's I mean, whew. Did you know the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia said the first nuclear power Islamic state will be Great Britain, will be England. Not because they gained nuclear power, but because they're turning Islamic. That's what he said. He didn't say it was a good thing either, by the way. He was speaking that in a negative term. Because that form of Islamist, that particular crown prince, soon to be king, doesn't like. Aaron says Canada tomorrow also, they're rising up in protest. They have the same problem in Canada. And their leadership is selling them out. They hate the people. Now, how, again, I say this. And I talked about it the other day. When people, and I've thought about this a lot. How did I, and this next video I'm going to play really brought something up to me. People like John McCain, when he passed away. I didn't spit on his grave and shout and scream, yay, yay, ding dong, the witch is dead, the witch is dead, the wicked witch. I didn't do that. I did bash John McCain on his politics, on his trading out America, on his so-called heroism of Vietnam, because a lot of people who served in Vietnam disagree with that. I have talked about that with John McCain and others. And here's one, I was trying to think of another one, and I knew there was another one. This is the one I was thinking of. Donald Trump, upon hearing in his last term that Ruth Bader Ginsburg had passed away.
Yeah. She just died? Wow. I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time. She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. Whether you agreed or not, she was an amazing woman who led an amazing life. I'm actually sad to hear that. I am sad to hear that. Thank you very much.
So how do you do it with class? Ruth Bader Ginsburg hated Donald Trump. Hated him. Donald Trump wasn't fond of her. But how do you do it with class? That's how you do it. You don't dance on somebody's grave. Because if you do, you're a disrespectful piece of crap as a human being, probably possessed by many devils. I am legion, for we are many. And I got to thinking about it. When she passed away, I didn't do that either. I got to go back and look at those videos, but I guarantee you, I didn't dance around and go, woo, I don't even think she was a Supreme Court justice at that point. She had already resigned because her health was bad. There's no point in that. There's no point. I could talk about her policies. I could talk about her politics. I could talk about her religion. I could talk about all kinds of different things. Her support for abortion, and not disrespect and dance on their graves. Dan Jones says, look what's happening in Nepal. That's another one. I did cover that the other day a little bit. By the way, what Nepal's people, the Gen Zers, the young people in Nepal, rose up. They actually killed the first lady. They actually killed the finance minister. They actually burnt down their parliament. They rose up. Why? Because their government decided that they were going to end all social media, block all social media in their country. They rose up and overthrew their government. Yesterday afternoon, yesterday morning, the military stepped in and took power, and they held elections last night on Discord. I don't know about that one. I don't know how secure that is. Alex Jones offered to finish Charles' tour. Oh, I'll get to that in a second. But they had an election on Discord and elected a new prime minister. They opened the jail cells and prisons and let out all the prisoners out in Nepal. Okay, I don't know. Are they political prisoners or real prisoners? I don't know. The Alex Jones says he'll finish Charlie's. You know who else says he's going to do that, by the way? Ben Shapiro. Let me tell you something. Let me just make this as clear as I possibly can to Alex Jones, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and all the rest of them. Money-grubbing opportunity swindlers, I said it, who want to try to jump on that which Charlie Kirk built. Stay the hell away. I don't know Charlie Kirk. I've seen him live and in person in Detroit. But Alex and Ben, you are no Charlie Kirk. In fact, you're more of a charlatan than you are Charlie Kirk. Do not spit on Charlie's grave and that which he built. Let me tell you who's going to finish Charlie Kirk's mission. Somebody, some young person, and I guarantee there's somebody waiting in the wings. God has already put somebody in place. I guarantee you that is as good, if not better than Charlie Kirk. Somebody that Charlie Kirk was mentoring, preparing. That's who's going to step into Charlie Kirk's seat. We're going to hear about that person. That prophecy from Kim Clement just came to mind. We're going to hear about that person here for too long. And he's going to finish. He's going to pick up the baton. He's going to take the mantle of Charlie Kirk. He's going to be to Charlie Kirk what Elijah was to Elijah. And those two charlatans, I'm sorry, stay away. Not interested. I'm not interested. You're no Charlie Kirk. You couldn't do that. You don't have the integrity and the intestinal fortitude of the little tiny itty bitty pinky toenail of Charlie Kirk. So stay away, all of you. I know. I have the videos that Ben Shapiro says he's going to start going around. I have the video. I have it right. I was going to play it. I'm going to skip over it because I don't care. Stay away. Glenn Beck said they asked him to do his show for a couple days, And he said that this morning. You know, like Charlie Kirk, Glenn Beck is his own man. He built his media empire on Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck is a man of integrity and honesty too, I believe. Different people. Could Glenn Beck fulfill his show? I don't know that Glenn Beck. Did he say he would do it? I don't know. I don't know about that. But I don't think Glenn Beck could go around to college campuses like. I don't think Glenn Beck could do it. I think that was Charlie Kirk's thing, and no one could do it. So the conspiracy theories that are out there, he was asking him about shooting as he got shot. That is a conspiracy of Satan. Demons do what demons do. But here's the guy being interviewed on CNN, the last guy to ask Charlie a question.
And people have obviously pointed to the irony that the point that I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was right before he got shot. And that only makes sense if we stay peaceful. And as much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I'm on the record for how much I disagree with Charlie Kirk, but like, man, dude, he is still a human being. Have we forgotten that? Are we crazy? Like,
I was trying to make the point about how peaceful the left was as he got shot. Does anybody see the irony of that? He's struggling with that right now because what just happened blew up his whole world dynamic. Yeah.
So what is
and here is one of Charlie Kirk's. If you could just see the way that Charlie Kirk interacted with people that totally disagreed with him. Here's the greatest hits.
So what is a woman?
Dude, I don't know. That one's hard. I know that's your line. And I think that's hard to say, man. I don't know.
But what
do you think is a woman?
Well, a woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. It's not difficult, right?
I disagree. I don't think so.
But if you disagree, why? But then what is your alternative?
Oh, I don't know.
So you disagree with that? You disagree without an alternative?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think that's a fair thing to say.
But you disagree, but you must have some opinion. What is your opinion of what a woman is?
I really don't know. I think it's a gender. I think it's a gender more than a sex. I think sex is female, and then woman is like gender. Yeah. That's what I would say.
A civilization that can't define very basic biological terms and stay close to them is a civilization in moral chaos.
What is a woman? But you notice how he respected this person, debated this person, tried to clarify the thoughts of this person. That's where he was so gifted, was trying to get people to clarify their own thought. I try to do the same thing on this show when I talk about the Patriot mythology stuff. Clarify your own thought. What is a woman? Well, I don't know. I can't answer that. You are basing your ideology, you're basing your very sex, you're basing your religion on, I don't know. Clarify your own thoughts in your mind. Here is the biggest thing that you need to do. In order to clarify your thoughts in your own mind, and Charlie Kirk absolutely has done this, is you need to have principles. Unwavering, unchanging, unadulterated principles. This here I will not cross. This is who I am. This is who my God is. These are the principles that I stand on. Everything else in my life is based upon those principles. That's why I put that up. the rules, the principles of the Patriot Mike Show. And that's just some of them. God is in control. The simplest answer is usually correct. Science still matters. Well, there's no such thing as gravity because I believe the earth is flat. Well, something makes the pin come down. I don't know what it is. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. And figures don't lie, but liars figure. Stand on principles. My principle that I stand on the most is I have faith in God first. When I look at the chemtrails, I have faith in God. When I look at the weather manipulation, I don't believe man can do it. I believe God does it. When I look at my politics, I believe in God first. Everything else is rooted off of that. I think Charlie Kirk was the same way. His whole life was based upon the principle that God is first. Of course, all the same people are running around saying the Jews did it, the Jews did it, the Jews did it, the Jews did it. I ask any one of them, was it what is his name? Whatever. He was really pushing this. Candace Owen, Tucker Carlson, all the other Patriot mythology pushers out there saying the Jews did it. Give me one shred of evidence. One. Prove it. Prove your point that the Jews. I don't know who did it. I know John Solomon saying there's foreign intel, that foreign Sean Hannity and John Solomon last night were having a discussion that there may be some foreign influence here. I don't know. I know this. Charlie Kirk was a great man, a man of God, who changed American politics. I know that for a fact. And I know that the president just announced on Fox and Friends this morning that they arrested the bad guy. I started my show off with that video. I know that happened. But other than that, I don't have any idea. I don't know anything else. We'll maybe learn some of it. Maybe we won't. But you won't have me pushing conspiracy theories to get clicks. Not going to do it. Ain't that right, Alex Jones, Ben Shapiro? Maybe they could do the Alex Jones, Ben Shapiro, I hate Jews, I love Jews tour. What do you think? I'm so tired of that rhetoric. I'm so tired of it. I guarantee you, yes, there are some evil people in the leadership of Israel. Mossad is just as bad as the CIA, but who pays who? Who pays who? In my lifetime, I've found out that the one who's doing the payee is the one who is in charge. Where's all the money come from in this world? This is why God said to me, and I've said it on my show a gazillion times, that when we find out what's been done in the name of the United States of America around the world, that we will rent our clothes and sit in sackcloth and ashes and cry out to a vengeful God for mercy for what we have done. Your tax dollars, the people you voted for, Republican and Democrat. You willingly drove from Missouri to Detroit for one of his events. It's pretty clear your thoughts on Charlie. Detroit, of all places. Well, that's where it was. That's where I got. Yeah, I did do that. But you know what I found out? A lot of parts of Detroit is a pretty nice place. They just stay away from certain neighborhoods. just like Kansas City. There's some beautiful places in Kansas City, but stay away from certain neighborhoods. General Flynn, on hearing John Solomon reporting that there may be some info about foreign agents, if it is determined that foreign powers assisted Charlie Kirk or was behind his assassination, assassinated Charlie Kirk or was behind his assassination, there should be hell to pay. It is now being reported by the FBI that this is a possibility. If this is true, there will most certainly be other hit teams in CONUS. I don't know what that's a military acronym for something. What does that mean, Marine? Who are focused on other targets. The White House needs to inform the American people ASAP what they know. Local law enforcement across the country better have already received a BOLO. Be on the lookout. And many specific details as possible. Don't kid yourself. There's a war on America, and everything and everyone we hold dear is at risk. Of course, General Flynn is not in the loop. He only knows what's being reported in the media. It says downtown Ford Field is nice, but don't venture too far from the side streets. Yeah, downtown seemed pretty fine to me. I mean, a lot of law enforcement stuff. Of course, the president was there one of the days, so it was totally locked down. Now, here is a tweet and the commentary. This was MJ Truth Ultra who shared this. The commentary is that Massey has flipped. My response is no, he has not. Thomas Massey is who he has always been. He's always been a never Trumper. He is not a conservative. Not a conservative. He is just like Alex Jones. He's just like Ben Shapiro wanting to go around and finish Charlie Kirk's tour because they see an opportunity. His body's not even cold yet. Representative Tommy Massey, Republican Kentucky for now, said he includes President Trump among those who should tone down their rhetoric in the wake of the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. I mean, there's a lot of rhetoric, and the president himself engages in it. He called it a hostile act to co-sponsor the Epstein resolution because it was a hostile political act, said Massey, who was a leading voice in pushing a motion to force the release of the files that they already released related to the conviction of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. I think that's ridiculous rhetoric. Well, sir, you are ridiculous. I've called you out for a while now. You are ridiculous. Your rhetoric is part of the problem. You don't want to release the Epstein files. You want the political part of it. You want to be able to bitch about it through the next election so that you can get reelected. God forbid. I hope you get primaried. I hope they dump millions and millions of dollars into the primary candidate, and I hope you lose, sir, because you have no principles. Oh, you say you do. The biggest Republicans out there screaming about their principles, about being conservative fiscal hawks, are the biggest spenders, the biggest grifters there are. Just saying.
Those of you that are not yet.
And the other thing is, Thomas Massey is a Marxist. How can you say that? Because he believes you have to pay for tax cuts. So again, go to first principles. Go to your principle. The principle is you have to pay for the tax cut because the money belongs to government. That's Marxism. I believe that you don't have to pay for tax cuts because it's not your flipping money. It's mine. It's the people watching me right now. It's not yours. Guess what? If your boss comes to you and says, look, I got to lay you off or I got to give you a cut in pay. So you take the cut and pay to keep the company going and you tighten your belt. If we have to tighten our belt, government can tighten its belt too. Maybe we can cut out some of the fluff. Just saying. My wife's walking in on me. She's off today. Everybody say hi to Chris. She's off today, but she got to go get her Jeep worked on. Could you imagine that? She has to get her Jeep worked on? Shocked. Shocked, I tell you. And it's an oil change. And mirror. Anyways, here's Charlie Kirk on principles.
Those of you that are not yet believers, it's very simple. You're going to have a court date. We all die. And you're all going to meet the supreme judge of the universe. Justice is getting what you deserve, which is going to a not so good place. We're all sinners and we all fall short of the glory of God. But thanks to the cross, a perfect, loving God who came down in human form, human flesh, lived a perfect life and died for us so that we can live forever. At that moment, we're about to get that sentencing into eternal damnation. Somebody says, no, I know him. I know her. Welcome to eternal life. You have an opportunity. The gospel in 4 words is Jesus took my place. 3 words is him for me. 2 words is substitutionary atonement. And 1 word is grace. Grace, you cannot earn. Grace, you do not pay for. It doesn't matter how much money you give to the hospital. You can't earn it. It doesn't matter if you're a good person. It doesn't matter if you have always done the best you can, because what's different about Christianity is that it's a gift for all of humanity to receive regardless of everything that we have done. And your life will be transformed. You will be born again. Grace is not earned. It is given by a God who loves you and wants to spend eternity with you. It is the most important decision you can make in your life. Here I am. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
First principles. First things first. Charlie Kirk had him right. Way more than me. Charlie Kirk had him right. So here is Hannity with John Solomon. And you see, got a thing. John Solomon has been a very accurate and integral reporter. So if somebody's telling him this, somebody's telling him this. Does that mean that it's connected? I don't know. Listen to what he says. Listen to the words he says.
I have a source in the intelligence community, John, that said that there might be post-assassination pieces of a puzzle that might be put together, that there might be a foreign component to it. Yeah. Again, we don't know for sure. I know it's being discussed. Have you heard the same thing?
Yes, there is a group or two of interest that are in the Salt Lake City area that they're looking at just because of certain recent activities overseas and certain intelligence shared by a foreign friendly from the United States. Doesn't necessarily mean that it is connected to the shooting. I suspect, though, it's going to result in some action, even if it's not tied to the shooting. But there is a small foreign component that's being looked at. Again, all leads are open. I don't think they've locked into a final theory of the case yet.
There is a small foreign component. Don't know if it's related, but there may be action taken regardless if it's related to this. In other words, they've got intel of something going on in that area with a foreign country. They've got word of that. So I don't know what that means. Here's ABC reporting. This is what I mean, this equivocation. Listen to this crap. The White House President Trump, while President Trump has called for an end to political violence following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, he did not recognize or acknowledge the recent threats and violent acts killing of Democrats. Okay. ABC. Hashtag ABC. Name one. Name one Democrat that was killed by a Christian conservative. Name one Democrat that was killed by a Republican. Because the Democrats that have been killed lately, Minnesota, for example, was a whack job Antifa guy who was good friends with Tim Walz. I'm just saying, there's way more to that story.
Also, just add a word.
A lot of the press conferences and stuff from yesterday, but I'm not going to play them. Here is because we've moved from that. Salem witches were killed by Christian conservatives. No, they were not. No, they were not. They were killed by extremists. That were more on the left than they were on the right. They didn't call it the same thing back then. They were not. And by the way, go research that and find out how much of that really happened. Just saying. Was not Christian conservatives. You got to understand, a true Christian conservative is like Charlie Kirk. A true Christian conservative, we do not battle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. A true Christian conservative would be praying for the witches. By the way, did you watch my show yesterday? Where the leftist liberal rag hired Etsy witches to put hexes and curses on Charlie Kirk? Did you see that? Just saying. Here's Donald Trump visiting the Yankees.
When you have that much muscle, you have to hit the ball. You're fantastic player. Unbelievable player. Thank you. I appreciate that. Great to know you. Thank you. It's an honor. It's my honor. It's a good move, kids. Man, you get out there and win tonight, right? Great honor. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Good job.
Here's another great quote. When you tear out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You're only telling the world that you fear what he might say.
Shot.
I played that song already. If you didn't catch the beginning of the show, I suggest go back and watching it. Oh, let's see. A bunch of stuff about high school people, high school teachers being fired because of their celebrating. This is from the law firm of Perkins Coie, one of their attorneys. You know Perkins Coie, the ones that helped facilitate the stealing of the election, the one that helped create the Russia documents. Charlie Kirk got famous as one of America's leading spreaders of hatred, misinformation, and intolerance. I would like to challenge any of the lefties. Show me anything Charlie Kirk said that wasn't true. Well, he said that the man can't be a woman. Yeah, like I said. But let's continue. Let's continue with what this guy says. Charlie Kirk got famous as one of America's leading spreaders of hatred, misinformation, and intolerance. The current political movement, where an extremist Supreme Court, let me stop right there. This is why I say words matter. When they report that the Supreme Court grants Donald Trump something that is in executive powers, the Supreme Court does not create law, does not grant permission. That is not their function. They have no authority to do so. They can't make it up out of whole cloth. The Supreme Court affirms or denies the constitutionality of an action. That's it. That's it. They affirm that Bill Clinton has the right to keep classified documents in his socks and underwear drawer. It affirms things that presidents do. It cannot grant anything. So he's calling him an extremist Supreme Court for affirming the Constitution of the United States of America. But this same guy would call the Constitution extremist. Where an extremist Supreme Court and a feckless Republican Congress are enabling a Republican president to become a tyrant and building him a modern-day Gestapo for assaulting black and brown folks. Sir, you are a piece of crap as a human being. You are an endless human debris, and you need Jesus. Black and illegals, no matter what their color are. Like when they raided, when they raided the Hyundai plant and arrested 450 illegal South Koreans, are those black and brown skinned folks? You, sir, are the problem in this country. As a result of Charlie Kirk's contributions to the American media and politics. That said, no one in this country should be murdered for their political speech. Although you guys took a shot at Trump, you tried to lock Trump away for his politics. Wishing comfort to his wife and children in his difficult time. Maybe this will be the event that gets MAGA to be serious about gun control. Maybe we should have knife control too. Maybe we should have nut job control. Maybe we should start with that. Dead school children haven't been enough. Well, guess what? Put a few of people like me and my friends in your school with our pew-pews. You'll have a lot less dead school children. You see, these psychopaths, these transient psychopaths who are going around shooting up schools. Why schools? Why aren't they shooting up police headquarters? Why aren't they going into government offices and shooting them up? Why aren't they going to gun ranges and shooting up a bunch of right-wing Republicans? Why are they shooting up schools? Because they're easy targets. You see, the one-way shooting range is fun. The two-way shooting range, not so much. As one guy once said, when the two-way shooting begins, the two-way shooting range begins, the fun factor goes down and the suck factor goes up. It's not fun. It's all fun and games when you're at the range going pew-ting, pew-ting, pew-ting. That's fun. That's a good day. But when the starts going by your head, when the dust starts flying up around you, not so much fun. When you're seeing green tracers come across the sky, not so fun. Not a good day. This guy's never served, so he wouldn't know anything about that. Nothing about that. Elon says this in small print there in the middle. If tolerance means the end of Western civilization, then we cannot be tolerant. And then Matt Van Sol, the reason what Elon was responding to says, if I'm being totally honest, I think I'm beginning to lose the will to be tolerant. And that's when Elon says, if tolerant means the end of Western civilization, we cannot be tolerant. And then he responds by saying Elon was right. And Elon goes on to say, if you won't leave us in peace, then your choice is to die or fight. And the guy over at Perkins Coie, they want that. They want us. They want civil war because they think that they could come out and rule the ashes. Wait until the people who just want to be left alone get involved. Yep. Yep. Here's another example. You hear the rhetoric from the Perkins Coie guy. We hear the rhetoric from the media. We hear the rhetoric from the sports media. We hear the rhetoric from the libs all over the country doing all their dancing on Charlie's grave. But what did Charlie Kirk do? How did Charlie Kirk treat people?
I'm a gay conservative, and I just want to ask you, what do you have to say for people like me who kind of feel like, I guess, it's kind of hard for gay conservatives because there's not a lot of us. So, like, what do you have to say to other gay people who need to realize, like, they do have a choice?
Yeah, first of all, welcome to the conservative movement. I don't think you should introduce yourself just based on your sexual attractions.
No, I agree. I like
because that's not who you are.
I like to be thought of as a person, and
for sure, you are a complete human being, and I'm sure you treat people well, and you're studying something. So I want to get away with this idea that you're gay anything. I just think that we have gone a long way in the negative direction in this country, where we act as if the most important part of your identity is what you do in the bedroom. It doesn't mean that much to me, but if you ask from a perspective as a Christian, I don't agree with that lifestyle. But politics is about addition and multiplication. I imagine you agree with a lot of what we talk about.
Absolutely.
Right? Strong borders, strong country. And for that, we welcome you into the conservative movement.
Thank you.
You say how he did that? You're not gay anything. Why do we have to lead with that? Why do we have to lead with that? What's the point of that? I'll give you an example. Here's the example. Here's what these preverts, these sickos, these demon-infested people are saying. Oh, I can't believe you talk like this. That's what it is. When you act like this, it's not good.
Mispronouncing his name. It's not Charlie Kirk. It's Charlie.
And we're all in agreement that Nazis are bad, or at least we were a couple fucking years ago. But it's all I hate Nazis until a Nazi catches what was fucking coming to him.
Now, there's so many funny parts about Charlie Kirk getting shot in the neck, almost too many to count. If I had to choose one, for me personally, the funniest part is that on the way out, he hit him with one of these.
I'm sorry, but if I see one more person say that he was a man of God, you know what? I need to go fucking touch grass.
Well, he was a man of God, and and people who never read the Bible and people that hate the God Jehovah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, should just shut up about God. I'm just saying, because, well, every knee shall bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. And as I say often, it's better to humble yourself before the King willingly than being forced to. Those are your choices. But wait, there's more, because here is Don Lemon. It's not just the TikTok unknowns.
Influential to political figures. He wasn't a political figure. They bantering the word assassination around Charlie Kirk was not a political figure. I mean, he might have been influential to political figures. He wasn't a political figure. He wasn't assassinated. He was shot. He was shot. And that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, that happens to far too many people. But those other two congressmen, they were political figures, and they were shot because of their political beliefs. And it's always like we can only have empathy for people if we relate to them, if we spark to them, if we have a tribal connection to them. It is a shame. And the thing that makes me the angriest about this is I always swore that I would never cede my humanity to anybody or any other situation, but that's getting more and more difficult to do because I certainly don't believe a young man, 31 years old, should have lost his life. But Charlie Kirk was a horrible human being. He said horribly incendiary things. As a matter of fact, he died. The very last words he spoke were basically putting the onus of gun violence on gangs, which is a synonym for synonymous with black people. He blamed the very way he died was lying about black people with his last breath. And I just think the best thing I can say is that I hope he believed what he was saying. I hope he believed that lives being lost were worth it so the Second Amendment can persevere. I hope he believed that there should be a lack of empathy. He was parsing between sympathy. Sympathy means we have a similarity. Empathy means I have nothing to do with you, but I can still feel your pain as a human being. And I hope he believed all the rhetoric he espoused, because if not, that was certainly an empty, vacant way to live, and certainly a horrible way to die.
Sir, it wasn't empty. Charlie Kirk lived the way he talked. Yeah, believes that gangs are. You tell on yourself by your words. He hates black people because he said gangs. If we can't talk about things that are facts, regardless of skin color, then what's the point? So here is Ted Cruz reposting to Mike Lee, who reposted Stephen King's, who said he advocated for stoning gays to death. Just saying. That's what Stephen King. By the way, if you read Stephen King's books, you probably need deliverance. Talk about evil. I don't read his books or watch his movies. I stay away from that crap. Mike Lee says, please share if you agree that the estate of Charlie Kirk should sue Stephen King for defamation over this heinously false accusation. He crossed the line and it will prove costly. Okay, I'm for that. Maybe you should sue him, because that's a boulder garbage. Here is Richard Grinnell responding to Stephen King. He advocated stoning gays to death. Just saying. Richard Grinnell says, you are a lying POS. You say this because someone said it to you, not because you know. You do society a huge disservice when you are so naive and simple. People like you who regurgitate other people's points, by the way, we do it on the right too, are sheep. You are a sheep. I knew Charlie well, and I'm gay, and he always cheered me and always finding ways to help me succeed. You have no idea what you're saying. Confident and stupid is a sad combo. He apologizes.
Now, he
apologizes. Here's Stephen King apologizing. This is his apology. I apologize for saying Charlie Kirk advocated stoning gays. What he actually demonstrated was how people cherry pick biblical passages. So I apologize that you took what I said wrong, but I really meant what I said. Sir, I know that you're manifesting demons when you write your books, but do me a favor. Go read the Bible, because you obviously haven't read it. As a matter of fact, maybe it's in Leviticus, maybe, to stone the gay people. But you want to know where it really is? It's in the Quran. You know, after you throw them off the highest place that they're still alive, you're supposed to stone them, sir, according to the Quran. So you got to understand, especially under the New Testament, we don't kill our enemies. We pray for our enemies. We pray, sir, that the Holy Spirit will pierce your heart of stone. We pray, sir, that you haven't come to the point to where God has turned you over to your reprobate mind, so there's still hope for you, that you can repent. You should try reading the Bible before you talk about cherry picking biblical passages. You have no idea what the Bible's about. Go back to writing your demonic books, because you don't have any idea what you're talking about. Here's commentary for people who cheered for the death of Charlie Kirk.
Now, there's a spirit leading these people. First, the Bible says this in Proverbs 8:36. Them that hate God love death. And when you're cheering for the death of other people, you hate God. You hate God. That's all I can say to you. You hate God. You don't like God. You don't like anything to do with God. You hate God. And you hate the people of God. Why is that? Because you're led by a spirit. There is a spirit that led these people to do what they did. And the lust of their father, if their father is Satan, they're going to fulfill the lust of their father. Understand? That is the spirit. These people in college campuses, they're not your enemy. These people with green and purple hair and nose piercings, and they look like they belong in a gay bar, they're not your enemies. You're not supposed to hate these people, even though they do wicked things. You know why? Because your enemy is something spiritual.
Mike says, I don't consider gays my enemies. They are gross, disgusting, demonic, possessed, but worth praying for. I agree. You see, I have friends. There's a guy in the area where I live who is a publicly known person. I mean, you could even call him a pillar of the community. Everybody knows him. And he's flamboyantly gay. And he's a conservative. And he's an honest person. And he's a nice guy. And we've had a couple revival services. I won't say revivals. I'll say revival services in Sedalia. And he showed up to every one of them. I said to him, I said, you keep coming. He's been attending church. A church in town. I said, you keep doing this, you're going to wind up getting saved. He just laughed at me. We see him all the time at the restaurant. See him all the time. Gives my wife a hug, shakes my hand. How you doing? He acts like a human being. And I treat him like a human being. And he treats me like he knows what my show's about. We agree on most things. When I talk about the demonic possessed wickedness of some of these people, it's because of their actions. How can you live with yourself and say the things you say about Charlie Kirk? How could you do it? Because you're demonically possessed. You don't have to like that I said that. You don't have to. I don't care. So here's a testimony about Charlie Kirk in the name of Jesus.
Today we grieve because hatred has struck again. But we do not grieve as those who don't have any hope. That's what the enemy wants. Because what Satan meant for evil, God will turn it for the good. Charlie Kirk was not just a political voice. He was a man who loved family. He was a man who loved country. He was a man who loved God. He stood for the truth. Yes, he did. But he also fought to bring clarity to those who were confused, clarity to the lost, and even to those who were bound by hatred. He had knowledge. Charlie had knowledge and understanding. And you know what? That's what made the devil tremble. Tremble because of that. To hate, it's easy to hate. But to love those who disagree with you, y'all, that takes strength. That takes some kind of courage. That takes God. And that's who Charlie Kirk had, God. We living in a time when our free speech, our dialogue is being replaced by hatred and violence. You know what? When disagreement is being met with blood or the shedding of blood. But I decree and declare today, love is going to prevail. Hatred will decease. The ability to speak with respect, Charlie had it. He was able to listen with compassion. He stood firm without striking out in hatred or revenge or evil. That was a gift that he had. That is a weapon that the enemy is afraid of. That is the way Christ, Charlie's God, would have it. He was a model. Kirk was a model. Someone said he was silenced forever, but I beg to differ. The devil is a liar. His voice has become louder than ever. It's ringing throughout the nation today. It's going to do it forever. It will be exemplified all over and throughout history. So I call upon every believer, don't back down. I call on every leader, every citizen. Do not let hatred define this hour. Hatred, you will not define this hour. We will let love arise. We will let courage speak out. We will not back down. We will let the truth be wrapped inside of mercy. Because the blood spilled today is not the final word. The blood spilled today is not the final word. The final word belonged to Christ. It belonged to Jesus. And his word says redemption. We will not back down. We will not retaliate in hatred. But we're going to let Charlie's voice rise beyond the grave. We will love fiercely, prophetically, and without apology. In honor of Charlie. In obedience to you, God. And in defiance of hatred and darkness. Because what they meant for evil, God has already begun to turn it for the good. Let that saturate you.
God is in control. God is in control. And he will make everything the way he wants them. His ways are not our ways. And I have no explanation why this happened. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, God wanted Charlie in heaven. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, all things work together for the good, because I've read the book. The prosperity gospel stuff don't add up when 11 out of the 12 apostles or disciples were killed. Well, one took his own life because he was a traitor, but then they appointed somebody else for his place and he was executed. And the one that didn't die was boiled in oil and he survived. So that kind of sucks. I'd rather die, thanks. I'd rather go out like Paul did, where they just cut off his head. I don't want to be drawn and quartered. I don't want to be sawed in two. I don't want to be stretched to death. I don't want to be pierced through the heart and then stoned. I'll pass on those things. Thanks. Don't want to be boiled in oil and survive. That just doesn't sound good to me. Charlie Kirk spiritually is Stephen. What came after Stephen was persecution of the church, extreme persecution in church, but also an explosion in faith. And it spread around the world because of it. So when I say Charlie Kirk is Stephen. Understand the other prophetic words that are out there. There's more to come. Here is, they're claiming that this is breaking a video of Charlie Kirk's assassin Tyler Robinson surfaces online reading his scholarship to the University of Utah. This is the guy right here.
Okay. Congratulations. You have been selected to receive the Resident Presidential Scholarship from Utah State University. The value of this scholarship is approximately $32,000. This scholarship is available for 4 years or 8 semesters.
So that's the guy. He's been arrested. Here's his mugshot. Supposedly his dad turned him in. He confessed to his dad, and his dad turned him in. We'll find out the rest.
President.
We'll find out the rest of the story as the days go on. There's a bunch of stuff out there right now. I was just looking. There's a bunch of stuff out there I don't know yet. Of course, we'll talk about it Monday. Yeah, well, he doesn't look threatening at all. But how was he radicalized? Who radicalized him? Who trained him? He had to have training. I know a lot of people are saying that was an easy shot. It wasn't as easy as you think. Shooting downhill is a challenge. Makes a difference. So I don't know. I don't know. Could be a patsy. Absolutely could be a patsy. I mean, would that surprise you? I mean, the fact that his dad turned him in, a lot of people, I bet you, somebody's saying he was a retired police officer. I don't know. I hadn't looked. If it turns out that his dad, who looks like he's about the same age as me, was a more conservative person, they're going to start saying, see, it was a conservative. But he went off to college. He got radicalized. It's because that's why his dad turned him in. Or for the $100,000. I don't know. I don't know what's going to come of all this. And that's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. I don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you some sort of conspiracy theory. Just not going to do it. I don't know. But it will come out in the days to come. We will find some things we probably don't want to know. Utah wants to be cool as Californians because all the Californians are moving into Utah. That's the problem. Oh, Harry Sessons, Sissy Pants is already saying that he's a conservative because his dad was a conservative. Yeah. So we'll find out. We'll find out. A bunch of things being said right now. What if it's true? What if it's not? I don't know. But we'll find out. I'll keep you informed. Now, do yourself a favor. Put the phone down. Turn off the TV. It's Friday. Go take your family out to dinner tonight. Have a good dinner. Relax. I don't know. Are there any good movies playing? I don't have any idea. I haven't been to the movies forever. I don't even know what's playing anymore. You know, I used to look at like my parents or like grandparents or aunts and uncles or older folks in the church who had no idea. It's like, oh, do you see that the latest Star Wars are out or whatever? They had no idea back when I cared to go to the movies. They had no idea, none, what was playing in the theater. Oh, what? I don't know what's playing. I mean, and now that I'm 54 and completely understand and can relate to that, because I don't have a clue what's playing I don't know what movies are out there. I don't care. Most of it's garbage anyways. I was talking with a good friend of mine. I don't see him on here, but he's on here from time to time. Matthew. I was talking to him yesterday about some of my favorite movies. He was talking about Casablanca, one of my favorite movies. Sergeant York, Mr. Deeds Go to Town. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town is you've seen the movie with Adam Sandler's Mr. Deeds? Was a remake of Mr. Deeds Goes to Town with Gary Cooper. You should watch that one. Some of my favorite movies. The King and I. I've talked about that one before. Great movie. They Were Expendable. World War II movie. Oh, there's another one. I'm trying to think of. Dean Martin plays in it, and he's a ship commander taking on a submarine. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of the movie. But great movies. These old-timey movies. They had to entertain you with dialogue and thought because they didn't have all the technical explosions and stuff and nudity. Anyways, take some time off tomorrow. Do what you got to do. Spend time with your family. If you're in Central Missouri area tomorrow night, come on out to Cross Connect. We're gonna it's going to be a great service. We got Bible study. We got dinner. We'll feed you. Come. We're going to have live. Some weekends we don't have live worship. Some weekends we're going to have live worship. And last week God moved. God moved. Let me give you a testimony of how God moved last week, and then we're going to get off the air. Let me give you a testimony. So there was this couple who's friends with the pastor, and they're suffering. They're really struggling. It was an alcoholic, is an alcoholic. She calls him up and she says, "We're struggling. We need help. What can we do? We don't know what to do. We're just spiritually lost, struggling." And he says, "Why don't you come out tonight? We'll pray for you. Whatever, just come on out. We'll feed you dinner, pray for you." She goes, "Look, he cannot go without drinking or he gets terribly sick." That's how far gone this. He said, "When he comes, he'll be drunk." We're like, "We don't care. We don't care. We don't care." And that song I played yesterday was the last of our set Saturday night. And by the time that song came on, because the Spirit was moving, he was on his knees in his pew, slobbering, crying. The kind of cries where the tears just fall down onto the ground, broken before God. That night, or the next day, he decided to check himself into a recovery house, 24-hour recovery deal where you check yourself in. And so they're trying to sober him up, and he ended up possibly having to go to the ER because he can't go without alcohol. But this couple, their life is changing because God was moving. We didn't have an altar call. We didn't have the big pastor with the white hair and the white shoes and the suit go kumbity 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 on him. God just moved in the seat. And that's what's coming, by the way. As a matter of fact, we not only didn't have the pastor with the white hair and the white shoes, the pastor, the speaker who came and spoke was a black guy from Wichita, Kansas. Fantastic, by the way. The ugly cry. Yeah, there you go. That's what it was. God is moving. Revival is happening. This is a catalyst, what happened with Charlie Kirk, by the way. This is going to split the nation wide open. And it's going to be a dividing line. People are going to choose God because of Charlie, or they're going to choose Satan because of Charlie. God's going to draw a line. Which side are you on? In the Gen Z, the college age kids, this line right here that was just drawn in the sand by God with Charlie, Stephen, whom shall you serve? One or the other. There's not going to be no gray area anymore. Tears and snot crying gets me every time. Oh, and let me tell you, God, if you want to come out to a service, if you're in Central Missouri, come out to a service where God is moving. This is the one. I mean, it is not about me, and it's not about a couple of the other leaders there. And there's probably 5 or 6 churches represented. It's not about that. It's about God. It's about God affecting change in people's lives, one at a time. Oh, so anyways, you guys have a great day. Boy, it's been a week. It'll be a new week next week, and we'll see what happens between now and then. And don't worry about it. We'll talk about it here on the Patriot Mike Show. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to y'all later. Patriot Mike is out.